Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Monday Night Live with Teresa Harper, Independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I hope everyone had a wonderful week and a very good weekend, and we're ready to go. So let me see what we've got going here. Let's see who's on. Get this up. And see how we're doing here. Come on, laptop. All right. I wish Facebook would stop changing things so you can find stuff. Cannot find it. This is crazy, people. Cannot find my live feed. Do not understand. Well, I'll have to try and, I guess, figure it out on the iPad maybe? I don't know. Can't see your comments if I can't get it up here. There we go. Well, it's showing up on the... Get it up. There we go. All right. I had to go to the iPad. Would not let me. Hello, Lynette. Hello, Chris Cruz. How are you? Jennifer, welcome. All right. Now we'll have to see if this keeps scrolling. Or if I am, let's just see if that's gonna let me see the comments. All right. So let's, there we go. Finally, it come up on the laptop. All right. Later, Chris. Have a good night. All right, everybody. So, our first project tonight. All right. Later. Our first project tonight is going to be from the Pansy Patch, and you will find that in the new annual catalog, and it is on page. Let me see. Page 160 for the bundle. And then the rest of it is on page 29. So I go there. Not being able to find that live feed kind of threw me. All right. So this is the page in the catalog. Let me see if I can get this situated in the camera so I can see decently, and you can too. All right, there we go. Okay, so we're going to start with the Pansy Patch card. It is a stamp set, photopolymer. You get 2 sheets of stamps in this case. And then it also comes with dies, the Pansy Patch, or the Pansy dies. And I actually have my dies divided here. So these are all the, there's 21 dies that come in this set. All right, hello Mary Isley. How are you? Glad you could join us. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Make sure we're here correctly. Okay. So we're going to start with, we have a basic white, thick basic white cardstock for our card base, and that's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, and we're going to burnish that with our bone folder. And then we have a 4 by 5 1/4 inch base layer in Highland Heather, and I have embossed that with the Pretty Flowers embossing folder, and this is what you get with that. Both sides are beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to add that to our card base, and we're going to go ahead and we can do that right now. Gonna center that up, equal border on all 4 sides, and it's slid. Let me straighten that up. Okay, I'm using liquid glue because that's what I prefer to use when there's texture. All right, so now we can set this aside. And we're going to do some stamping. We're going to start with a 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 inch square. And we're going to use the watercolor shapes. And we're going to use this image right here. And these images on the case are only shown at 90%, so they are bigger than that. So let's get this on my block. Some block was sharing with another one. And then we're going to take some fresh freesia ink. Make sure where we need to be here. Okay. So I'm going to take and in the center, and at the top here, I'm right at the top of my paper in the center, and I'm going to stamp my shape, and then I'm going to flip this around and I'm going to go to the top center of my paper again, and these are going to overlap. And I'm just going to do that, stamp that, and then I'm going to continue going around. Each time stamping on the opposite side. And then I'm going to move this to the space between, and I'm going to line up at the bottom where everything is centered there. And again, I'm going to go opposite. Always lining up in that center point with these 4 images. All right, so this is what we have thus far. Ah, thank you, Tracy. All right. So this is the beginning of our card front. And we're going to get some scrap, basic white, and we're going to start stamping our pansy. So for this, we're going to use the large pansy that's in the stamp set, and we're going to start with the more solid image. And I'm going to stamp that. Let me get a piece of scratch paper here so I don't mess up the background. Okay. I'm going to take the Highland Heather and we're going to stamp off. And then we're going to stamp on. And then we're going to take our gorgeous grape and we're going to move to the more detailed image. We're going to ink that up in gorgeous grape. And when I'm lining this up, I'm looking for this center line here and then these the white areas there to make that all come together. That's how I found is the easiest way for me to line it up. Okay, now I'm going to move to the large center image and I'm going to stamp this one in Daffodil Delight. I'm going to ink that up, line it up, stamp it down. Whoops. Close my ink pads as I go. You guys know I'll put my fingers in them. All right, so the next image, the next image is going to be stamped in Rich Raspberry. I took this color combo from a pansy image that I saw online. And so I'm going to stamp that right there like so. Then I'm going to get that Daffodil Delight back. I'm going to take the teeny tiny center, looks like a little teardrop, and I'm going to put this in the center. And then I'm going to take my Rich Raspberry, and again with that teeny tiny center, I'm going to put it just on the very corner of my ink pad and catch just the tip in the Rich Raspberry. And then I'm going to stamp that right up here. Okay, so there's our pansy image. And that is now ready to die cut. Okay, now we're going to need some leaves. So we're going to get some soft succulent and evening evergreen. And we're going to grab the leaf images. But I need some blocks, so I'm going to clean some of these off so I can have the blocks. And then grab those leaves. Okay, we need 4 images for those because this is a 2-step stamp set. Let's remove those images so I can have those blocks. All right. Okay, so we're going to start with soft succulent. And again, I'm going to, as you can see, my image isn't very clear. This is a distinctive stamp set, and so I need to push some of my ink down because there's too much ink in my ink pad at the top. So I'm just going to take a spoon and I'm going to push this all down. Okay. Just going to clean my spoon off the chamois. And then when I go to stamp it this time, I should get a nice, clean, crisp image. And you'll need 3 of these. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. You only need 1 of those. Sorry. You need 2 of the small ones. All right. So then we're going to take the Evening Evergreen. And again, I'm going to test this to see how inky my ink pad is. And this one doesn't look bad. So then I'm just going to take and line this up. And then I need the larger leaf. Line that up, and there we go. Now those are ready for die cutting. All right. And that is all the pieces that we need. So let's grab the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss. We need plate 1 and plate 2. We're going to grab this die. This will cut our pansy. And then we have this for our leaves. Okay. So I'm going to use a little bit of Post-it tape. Just to set that in place. Ensure it doesn't move. All right, I like to do that down where it's flat so that it's easier to do. Then we'll just put this up, put it in the mini cut and emboss, and roll it through. Sure love how handy that little machine is. Mary, with my chamois, I take my chamois, it doesn't really get mildewy. I take and soak it in OxyClean and a little bit of dish soap every now and again when it's hot, and then in hot water, and then rinse it out really well and it moves on. So I haven't had too much trouble with it. And the case that I keep it in, this is a stamp case, but I keep it open. I only close just the bottom corner so that it still gets air and dries out. Okay, I'm not going to cut the rest of those because I already have them cut. And that will save us a little bit of time. All right. Oh, we have one more piece to stamp that we forgot to stamp. We need to stamp our happy birthday. Let me grab that. This is also from the Pansy set. And we need that piece of cardstock we just cut. Never fear, I have another piece right here. Okay, so we're going to stamp our happy birthday in Gorgeous Grape. I'm just going to stamp that right there. And then we're going to cut this out. And we're going to use this little die from Beautiful Trees. Fits this happy birthday perfectly, as if they were meant to go together. So again, I'm going to use that same sandwich. We're going to line this up, and hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to place that in there just like so. Put my top plate on, making sure I stagger it so it'll go through the machine. Okay. Be picky. There we go. All right. That's the last piece. Okay. So put that back on the magnet sheet so it doesn't come up missing. All right. So here are our pieces then. I'll bring this piece back in. We have a piece of basic white, and this is cut at, should be, is that looking square? Yeah, okay. So this is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. This is 3 1/2 by 3 1/2. We're going to put these on top of each other, and then this piece of basic white is 1/8 of an inch bigger. So 3 5/8 by 3 5/8. And that's how those are going to stack together. So we're going to go ahead and put those together. And I'm just going to use a little bit of seal to put these all down. All right, now we're going to take our pansy here. And we're going to use Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm going to put a Stampin' Dimensional at the top in the center and one at the bottom in the center. And I'm doing that so that I can put this down and then I can add my leaves underneath. So I'm just going to put this right in the center here. And then I'm going to grab my leaves. Okay. Which of course they're going to fight me. Okay. Oh yeah, I need to grab this. Okay, get that ready in just a moment. Okay, I'm going to take the tip of my leaf and I'm just going to run my finger and you guys know I like to audition these to see where they're going to go. I'm going to take this darker one now. Put on. Put this one. That. And then I'll put this one over here. Okay, and I'm happy with that placement. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this up. And I'll use a glue dot. Put that down under there and give it a press. Take another glue dot. Give that a good press. I'm going to go under there and give those a good press with my bone folder. So I don't want them coming back up. And then another glue dot on this one. And move that just a smidge. Press that down. Okay, so there's our focal image. And we can go ahead and add this to our card front. And we're going to add it up here at the top. And I'm just going to add a little bit of seal. And center that up on the 3 sides. Okay. Now I'm going to take that happy birthday that we stamped and cut, and I'm going to put this back into my die. If you've watched before, then you know I like to do this. I'm just going to set it back down in there and take your pick tool and the small end of my stylus, and I'm just going to run my stylus around the edge. to give that a little added dimension. Okay. Then I have a piece of gorgeous grape, which is cut at 7/8 of an inch by 1 11/16 of an inch. And that's just one tick mark below 3/4. And that had to be so that it fit around the sentiment here. So I'm going to take a couple of Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of my sentiment. And then I'm going to add this to the gorgeous grape. Center that up. Like so. And then we're going to just add this with some seal. Here in the lower left. That, and then I've already tied with the white baker's twine, which you can get in the Essentials pack. It comes like this in the new catalog. You get gray granite, black, fairy vanilla, white, and crumb cake. And I've already tied a bow, and I'm just going to put this at the top of my sentiment with a glue dot. So I'll take and roll that up with my finger into a little log. Hope it stays there so I can get my, oh my goodness. And I'm just gonna put my little bow to my dot. And I'm gonna place this right above my sentiment. And then I'm gonna trim off that end a little bit. All right, we're almost done with the front of our card. So the last thing that we're going to add to this is we're going to take some basic pearls, and I still have the old style. And we're going to grab our fresh freesia, our dark fresh freesia blend. And we're going to color up 2 of the smaller ones. That one's not going to stay on there for me. Oh my goodness, that one disappeared too. And then I'm going to take a medium one. All right. I'm going to set those aside to dry for just a minute while we do the inside of our card. Okay, so for the inside of our card, I'm going to take a piece of basic white, and this is, I always cut my inside pieces at 4 7/8 by 3 5/8 because I can get 5 inside pieces out of 1 sheet of basic white cardstock. Okay, so we're going to go back to the watercolor stamp set. And this time we're going to take the smaller of the ovals. And we're going to basically do the same thing that we did before, but we're going to do it with the smaller. We're going to do it just a little bit differently. We're going to stamp off. And I'm going to place this in the center near the top. I'm going to rotate. I'm going to rotate. And rotate. All right. Then we're going to take the gorgeous scrape and the sentiment that says, wishing you a little extra happiness just because you're you. We're going to ink that up with gorgeous scrape. And we're going to stamp it down over our image. Okay. And then for the final touch on the inside, I'm going to take a little strip of fresh freesia that has been embossed with the Pretty Flowers embossing folder. And I'm just going to add this to the bottom of my card with some liquid glue. And honestly, I didn't measure this. I took a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 inch paper and then embossed it, and to get this strip I just put it in my trimmer and sliced it. So the measurement actually is about 5/8 of an inch. And we're going to trim up the sides here. And there is the inside of our card. So we'll add this with some Stampin' Seal. Inside. Okay, and then for the envelope, because you know we can't have a naked envelope, I took and stamped that pansy so that we would have a matching set. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that for you guys to look at while I clean up a few things and get ready for the next card. Love it. Ah, thanks, Tracy. I'm glad you like it. Mary, I'm so glad you could join me. I hope I didn't miss anybody else joining today. Just gonna go back. Tracy, it does look like a spirogram, doesn't it? That's what I thought when I was doing it. It's kind of cool. Thanks, Jennifer, Lynette, Laura. So glad you guys like that. I sat down and had quite the play with the pansies today. I'm going to show you, because of course, besides the dies, besides the stamps, there are lots of dies. And so I wanted to show you the difference of what you would get. So let me put some of these away because I'm going to need a couple of these blocks for the next project. The next project doesn't take a lot of blocks, but I'm actually doing the project that I thought I would get to during the week last week. I was going to finish that Kangaroo card. And that just didn't happen. I'm gonna be honest. I slept a lot last week. I was so tired. When I wasn't watching kids, I felt like I was sleeping. Didn't accomplish a lot. Okay. If I put these away, I should be good. All right. What is the size of your inside piece? Okay, Laura, it is 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. And the way I cut my paper to get 5 is I cut my paper on the short side at the top. I cut it at 4 7/8. Then I have a piece left. Then I take that bigger piece. You know what? Let me just show you, because it's easier to show you than it is to explain. It's really pretty, makes it pretty nice. Okay, so let's grab the trimmer. So I take my paper and I put it in and I cut at 4 7/8. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so I cut it at 4 7/8. And then I take the piece that's 4 7/8 and I turn it and I cut at 3 5/8. And that will give you 3 with just a slim little piece left over. This much. Okay, and you've got 3, and then I put this other piece in. Now what's left is 3 5/8. So then I just have to cut this at 4 7/8. Come on, move over there. And 4. Sometimes that little lip there stops my paper from going to the 4 7/8. And then 4 7/8. So then I have this piece left over, which I can stamp with. And this is the only waste that I have. And I have 5 inside pieces. I hope that helps you. And then when I do mine, I cut several sheets at a time and I just put them in a stamp case and they're ready to go when I need them. Okay. All right, so let's move on to the next. Oh, I was going to show you. So I took the dies in that stamp set. And these are the dies that I was using. Okay, so to make a pansy, these are the leaf dies, so you don't need those. But to make the actual pansy, these are the pieces that you need. So you need 1 of these, 2 of these, 1 of these, 2 of these, 1 of these, and then this is your center and it automatically cuts 3 at a time. And then for these are the leaves with definition. So if you cut 1 of these and 1 of these and you put them together, then you get a leaf that looks like this. Okay, and if you cut those, maybe I didn't put 1 of those together. I thought I did. Okay, well maybe I didn't, so we will. They're already cut, so we'll just put it together. So I'll poke out my excess. It's Pretty sure I put one of these together, but I'm not sure why I can't find it at the moment. Okay, so then I'm just going to take a little bit of liquid glue. Now, this would be a good use of your adhesive sheets because it would make this part a little bit easier for you. But I'm just going to use a little bit of liquid glue. The spines really are big enough, and you know, if you can see it, you have enough. And then I'm just going to marry this up to this, and then I have this leaf. Okay, so for these, to get the same daisy or same pansy that I had made stamping, I took this shape right here and I did it in Daffodil Delight, and then I'll add the purple to it, the Gorgeous Grape. Okay, and I cut 2 of this image and 2 in Highland Heather, and then 2 of this image in Gorgeous Grape, and I'll add those on just like so with some liquid glue, or you could use your adhesive sheets. That would work really well. Okay, so then you'd have 2 of those. And then, well, let me go ahead and do this. Once I get this adhered, I'm going to put this down first. And I'm putting this down first because I looked at the photo image that I was looking at, that I was trying to replicate. Looked like it was done this way, so. Okay, so I've got that, and then I cut this image in Rich Razzleberry. I'm going to add a little bit of glue to this. And then add this up here, like so. Okay. And add this on here. And you just push these all the way to the edge. And of course, you guys know I can't do anything without tweezers. Okay. Line those edges up. Push that all the way to the end. All right. Then I'm going to take just a little bit of glue right here in the center, and I'm going to add this. Like so. And I'm trying to get this little line here. I want to see that edge. Give that a press. And then another glue there at the bottom. And then I'm going to add this one over here like so. And then the final piece is to add your center. going to put a little bit of liquid glue in there and add the center. Okay. My hands got sticky. All right. So there's my pansy. And then I can add a couple of these leaves. Actually, I would add 3, but okay. This pansy was a little too big. This was the one I actually made ahead of time. This pansy was a little too big, I thought, for this. So there's the size comparison. This is the dies, and then these are the stamps. So if you need a larger pansy, use the die cuts. All right? Okay. So there's a little intro on how the pansies work and the dies. But you'll be seeing a lot more because I was experimenting with color and different ways of inking the image to come up with different patterns. Okay? So there we are. All right, let's move on to our next card. Get all that out of the way. And now we have our kangaroo card. Okay, so I've done a lot of the pre-work on this. We're going to be using the Brights collection of the 20, this is the new patterns out of the annual catalog. So it's the Brights collection. We're using Pacific Point, Granny Apple Green, Poppy Parade, and Mango Melody. I wanted a bright, happy card. Okay, so from each of those patterns that I just showed you, I used the stitch triangle dies. I recently acquired these. Thought it would be fun to play with them. So in the stitch triangle dies, you get 19 dies, and we're using two of these dies, one from here and one from here. So the second to the largest, the third to the largest, and then these are the 2 middles, because you get 4 of this right triangle. Okay, so I have all those here. We're also using the largest stitch rectangle die, and this border will be for our inside piece, and it also comes from the stitch triangle dies. So those are the dies that we're using. We're going to start with a Mango Melody card base, and of course this is the standard card base, so it's again 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. We're a standard A2 card size, so we burnished that on the score line. We have a piece of the basic white, which we cut out with the largest stitch triangle, and I've already done that. We have a piece of basic black to mat this on, and this piece is cut at 3 15/16 by 5 15/16, and that is determined by the size of the stitched rectangle. So I added 1/8 of an inch to both measurements to get that, okay? And then, of course, we have our triangles that are already cut. All right. Then we need to do a little bit of stamping. And really, for the card itself, we're only using the Kangaroo image, and we're going to use the sentiment hopping by just to say hi. So we're going to go ahead and put this on here for the moment. I'm going to get us a piece of scrap Whisper White so we can stamp the Kangaroo, which I just set down. All right. So we need 3 kangaroos, but we need 2 kangaroos like the stamp, and we need 1 that is reversed. So we're gonna stamp 2. Okay. And we're gonna clean our stamp. And then I'm going to grab my Stamparatus. Okay. Move some of these things out of the way. Okay. So for my base, I'm going to grab my Kangaroo and Company, put my stamp case underneath my, am I in frame so you guys can see what I'm doing? Okay. So this is a photopolymer stamp set, so I need my foam mat. So I have that in, and I just have the basic foam mat in for this. And then I have my silicone craft sheet. And of course it's not all gooky, it does seem to have some. It's good though. No glue on it. So we're good. So I'm going to take my piece of cardstock and I'm going to put it up here in the corner. And then I'm going to put my Kangaroo down. Just like so. And I'm going to pick that up with my lid. And then I'm going to move my paper. And I'm going to get my ink. And I'm going to ink this up. Making sure that my silicone craft sheet is pushed way up there in that corner. Then I'm going to give that a good rub. Okay, and I think I've got a really good image there. So I'm going to very carefully put my cardstock in the corner, and then I'm going to give that a rub. Okay. Now, before I pick this up, I'm going to ink this back up, and I'm going to stamp it on the front. Okay. Now, I've got an image on the back, and I have an image on the front. And I can set this aside. Okay. Then I can take this and flip it over, and I can color my image. Now this little guy I'm going to color in light and dark crumb cake. So I've got my light and dark crumb cake. I always have my color lifter, and light petal pink. And I'm just going to put a little bit of light petal pink in his ear. Okay. And I'm going to take the light crumb cake, color that up. Sounds like it's raining outside again. Okay, so we've got that. Then I'll take just a little bit of dark crumb cake, put it under his chin here, a little bit along the leg here just to give the leg some definition, and behind the tail, and this leg. And then I want just a little bit of dark at the tips of his, and a little bit in the ear, edge of the ear. All right. Then I'm going to quickly blend that in with my light crumb cake. Just doing little circular motions until that harsh line fades away. Okay. Then I'm going to ever so lightly take my, barely touching, I'm not really putting any pressure on his tummy pouch here. Then I'm going to take my color lifter and I'm going to lift back off some of that crumb cake and lighten that up. Okay. All right. Now, these are ready to be cut. And that's why we stamped on this side. So we're going to be able to die cut this with the Kangaroo die. Which is in the stamp case, sorry. I'm going to grab this little image here. And we're going to grab the Stampin' Cut Mini. And I'm going to line up my Kangaroo on the back side, which looks like it could be the front side. So we're just going to line this up. Get a little piece of Post-it tape. Put that down. Grab our top plate. And run that through. Okay. And now, when we flip our image over, we have our die cut perfectly cut. So that's how you do a reverse image stamping with a die cut. Okay, pretty simple. All right, so then we would color and cut our other two, but of course, I've already done that to save some time. We're going to start assembling. Okay, so on our stitch triangle, we are going to lay out our pieces. And I started actually, make sure that you have your stitches right side up. And we're going to, how did I do this? Like this. Okay, so we're going to stick that over like that. This goes here, like so. And these are not going to line up into a perfect pattern. And then we're going to put this one down here. And this one will go like so. All right, once you're happy with the placement and you don't keep moving them, then you can start gluing them down. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start at the bottom. Use a little bit of liquid glue so I can slide these into place, and I can get into the points of the triangles a little bit easier. Okay. All right. Let's glue these down. The fractions, I know. I'm kind of, you know, it wouldn't hurt to go up, you know, a 1/16 of an inch and have a little bit bigger border. But if I wasn't doing math at really late hours of the night, I wouldn't be me. Okay, last piece. Let's put this in here like this. All right, so that takes care of that. Now, I took, and I'm just going to stamp right on, and hopefully this works out for me, means I already glued that down. And I'm going to stamp my hopping by just to say hi right on my designer series paper. I'll let that sit for a second and soak in that ink. All right. So now we can take and add, no, we cannot. We can add this to our card. So we're going to add this to our card layer. And we're just going to center that up. Okay. Then we're going to take some black baker's twine. And of course I have some left over, so I'm just going to use my older. And I am going to wrap this kind of wonky on my card here. And then I'm going to tie this into a bow. Tighten that up and trim these up a bit. Okay. And then let's separate those just a bit. Then I'm going to take some Stampin' seal and I'm going to put it on the back, and I'm going to go on either side of my baker's twine to trap that in there. And then I'm going to center this up on my card, and this is going to be just a little bit wider on the sides than it is at the top and the bottom because of the nature of the stitched rectangle. So we'll give that a good press. Seal that all in there. All right. Now we can get our little kangaroos. And this kangaroo is colored with the dark and light cinnamon cider. And this one is done with light and dark gray granite. So now we need some Stampin' Dimensionals. And we're going to start with this one down here. And then this little guy. Is going to go, I should have grabbed some minis. It's working, but barely. Okay, and then I put them at angles so it kind of looks like they're hopping up the blocks. I'm going to go ahead and cut one of these in half. I guess you got to actually get to one. All right, so that'll be easier on the head. Okay. All right, so there is the front of our card. Now for the inside, I took that long border cut and I cut it at the bottom of my inside piece. Then I'm going to take about a 1/4 inch strip of basic black. And I'm going to take some liquid glue, and on the back side, I'm just going to run a small bead of glue above and below. Right above and below those cuts. And then I'm going to add this to there so that the black shows through. And then I'm going to trim off the edges. And that is the inside of our card. I'm going to leave it blank so that you can pop in anything you want to pop in. Just write a note, send it off. And there we are. Okay. And then for the envelope, I took and stamped our little guy with some grass blades and granny green, and the little hello also comes from the stamp set, and I did that in Pacific Point. So there's our completed projects for this evening. Let me grab the other one so you can see them both. We'll look back and see if anybody had any questions. Oh, thanks, you guys. I'm glad you liked that. And yes, happy early birthday, Jennifer. Thursday, right? Thursday, Friday? It's the 27th, whatever day that is. All right. Okay, Well, I don't see any questions. So, thank you for all the nice comments. I appreciate that. And thank you for taking time out of your evening to watch and interact with me. That was fun. Just so you know, next Monday night is Memorial Day. So I will not be on, and I will see you in 2 weeks. All right? Hope everybody has a very good Memorial Day holiday, and we'll see you back here. All right. Good night, everybody.